Good morning, this is JP Sneed with Southeast Petro. Today we're going to talk about tank monitoring systems and how to test your tanks to see if they have water or phase separation in them. We're going to start off inside at your VEDA route or whatever your tank monitoring system is. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pull the report. These systems are all a little bit different, but the basics is you're able to pull a report, you're able to find out the volume in inches for what you have in your tanks. Also, you can check it, and you should be pulling these daily. Check it to see if you have water in your tanks, things like that, and logging it. If it shows up you have water in your tanks, you need to go ahead and get a technician out there to find out if it was just a heavy rain, if it's water leaking in it, or if you have any major issues. So this is a good indicator of where you are with your tanks and the status, things like that. You should be logging these daily, and I would suggest logging them before, if you know there's a big heavy rain coming, before and after a heavy rain, things like that, just to make sure you're safe and covered. What we have now is we have our safety gear. We're going to move outside. We're going to show you how to test the tanks, show you how to put on some water and phase separation paste, and show you how to actually dip the tanks and go from there. And we'll test to see if our volumes match up with inches for our tape here and what we have outside. We'll see you outside. Before we actually stick our tanks, I wanted to walk through and show you guys what some of the water finding and phase separation paste looks like. This brand is called Sargel by Acurima. Each of these type of brands are different colors and different specifications for what you're looking for. Most all of them will find water in your tanks, but what you really want to look for is the phase separation as well. Sometimes if a little bit of water is in there, it won't show up as bad, but if it gets a lot of water, sometimes it'll go and phase separate, and then you need to know how much alcohol is separated out of your fuel. And these type of items are what you can use to test that. Like I said, you want to read the directions, you want to find out what colors they are and what to look for. This one tells me to spread a thin paste on one side of the gauge stick. Also, I'm going to put it down at the bottom. I'm also going to come up a little bit and put it a few feet above it. That way I can see if there's any water maybe floating in the tank that hasn't fallen to the bottom yet. It says that this tank is a scarlet paste, and what we'll do is we're going to put it on here. I've got some water here. We'll pour some water on it. I'll show you what it looks like if you do find water in your tanks, and you can see the drastic difference in how the paste changes. So we're going to put a bead along the bottom. We've got a bead along the bottom. I'm going to come up a little bit further, put another bead, and that way I can know, if I come through and there's water at the very bottom or if there's water at the top, it should let you know if there's where the water is in your tanks. And we'll kind of smear that in a little bit. Smear this in a little bit. When I take my tanks, I like to have gloves. That way I don't have to worry about fuel on my hands. I also like to keep some paper towels on hand. That way you can wipe your fingers off on hands as you're done. Notice this paste goes on a white. When we add water to it, it should turn bright red or pink. So that's how you would know if you had water in your tanks, or if your tanks is phase separated. You'll do the same thing with alcohol. So we now know what that looks like. Like I said, one of the number one things you want to do when you're testing your tanks, you want to be concerned about your safety. If you can have someone help you and watch you out there, that's always best. If not, if you can bring some cones out, you want to wear a safety vest, and then test your tanks in the time of day when you're not heavy traffic at your site. All those things will help keep you safe and help this process go that much easier. We'll move on to our tanks now. Alright, we're over here by our tanks. I've got my cones set up, I got my safety vest on, I got my gloves on, I'm ready to test my tanks now. We're going to test our unleaded right now. When you come over to your unleaded, you're going to remove your lid. Now, we've already removed the locks on our tanks. We suggest that you lock all your tanks and have the keys for your fuel distributors. And that way, you don't have to worry about people coming up and trying to pump out your tanks when you're not looking. They've got to at least go through a lock first, and hopefully you'll see them over by your tanks before they get any kind of fuel. Open them up. It should release and expose your valve to where the fuel goes in your tank. Now we're doing there's two things. One, we're testing to see if we have any water in our tanks, phase separation, but we're also testing to see if the level of your fuel, if it matches what your VEDA route or your tank monitoring system shows. So, I've got my paste on my stick already. I know about what my regular should be. And it should be be about 62.3 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and you're going to take your stick, you're going to lower it down into the tank, trying not to hit the walls. And what you do, you lower it all the way down to the bottom, and you'll feel it hit. As soon as it hits, you pull it right up. I like to take my finger, mark my stick, and I'm right here at 62.5 inches. 62 inches matches up with my 62.3, as close as it can possibly be, so it's looking good. Notice there's no water in the tank. My paste is still white. No phase separation, so this tank's good. We suggest you test your tanks. You should stick your tanks every couple of days. Some people say every day. And like I said, you want to make sure you stick them right after those big rainstorms come through. Make sure no water seeps into your tank. You don't have any issues. That's it for today. That's a little overcap of how we test our tank monitoring systems. How we stick a tank, test for water and phase separation, and then how you can compare the two. This is JP with Southeast Petro. Have a nice day.